So the new Super Mario Bros. Movie is on track to gross $1 billion worldwide, smashing the record for highest grossing video game adaptation in just days. The most logical question is, what's next? Obviously, a sequel is in order, but some fans are wondering if Nintendo should go one step further. If you've been online recently, you might have seen one of these two images crop up, detailing a cinematic universe with different phases and a crossover in the Smash Bros. Movie. Now, the reaction to these images has been mixed. One side is saying, why not? Nintendo owns the rights to all the characters, why shouldn't they? And the other is saying, no, we don't need another cinematic universe, it's been done before. Imagine that, going back in time 20, 15 years and telling Kevin Feige that cinematic universes are an overdone concept. He'd be asking what you've been drinking. Now, I'm on the side of, yeah, don't make this a cinematic universe. We don't need another one. Sure, the MCU might just be the biggest media franchise in history, but even that's starting to show its cracks. I do agree with those who say that Nintendo should take advantage of the fact that it owns all its characters and make some more movies. However, I think the key difference here is they make a franchise out of these characters and not a cinematic universe. We don't need phases or minor details to cross over into other movies. We shouldn't have to watch Star Fox 4 to understand what's going to happen in Donkey Kong 3 and what's going to happen and how that leads into Smash Bros. 5 or whatever. What I think they should do is they should make a few standalone movies. Star Fox, Metroid, Donkey Kong, Kirby. Then have these characters cross over in a Smash Bros. Movie and then call it a franchise. Using the MCU as an example again, part of the reason why they were as successful as they were was because, one, they prioritized quality over quantity, or at the very least they tried to, and two, they never overwhelmed us with content. Nowadays, keeping up with the MCU feels like homework, but it used to be that you'd only have to go see the 1 or 2 movies they put out that year, and you were in the know. That is a mistake Nintendo should avoid doing. They should keep everything as standalones and only keep the crossover events for the Smash Bros. Movie, or movies. The Super Smash Bros. Games don't have any complex or deep lore to them. It's simply getting a bunch of Nintendo characters together and have them duke it out. They did try to bring some lore into it with Brawl in the Subspace Emissary, but I think the Smash Bros. Movie, as well as any movies about other Nintendo characters, will work best when they're by themselves. Another franchise that made the mistake of trying too hard to be a cinematic universe is Star Wars. When The Force Awakens came out in 2017, it had been 10 years since we had last gotten a Star Wars movie. The only content that had really come out in that 10-year gap was extended universe novels and comic books, the Clone Wars TV series, and some video games. Nothing that really was a continuation of the Skywalker saga. Clone Wars taking place between episode 2 and 3, and extended universe being, well, it's been decanonized, but essentially non-consequential to the main series. But when episode 7 came out, a lot of hype, a lot of excitement. Then they started releasing a movie every year, and then we had the first bomb of the franchise. Or how about now with The Mandalorian, where there's waning interest in season 3? Now, there were other factors at play, but my point is, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Another example is House of the Dragon. People thought it would be an absolute disaster after season 8 of Game of Thrones, but it got a positive reception from the fans, and it did really well. That will be the key to Nintendo's success if they choose to go the path of having a franchise of movies that culminates in a Smash Bros. Crossover. No more than one a year is enough. You build up hype, build up excitement, and so that when the Smash Bros. Movie finally comes, it's a massive event. Another reason why the MCU is stagnating right now is because they try a bit too hard to treat every single movie and TV series like an event. Something you absolutely need to see. And in turn, that has pretty much drained their own hype train. Ant-Man 3 is failing to hit $500 million worldwide, even though it's got the next big bad of the MCU in it, because they've just kept trying to ride the hype train for so long. They kept trying to build things up, and up, and up, and up, and up, but there's only so much hype you can build up before the audience realizes, we don't need this. We don't need to see all of this. Why are they treating this with so much hype? Bottom line, I think a Nintendo series can work. so long as they make the various movies standalone and keep the crossing over strictly to the Super Smash Bros. Movie. I will admit, an adaptation of the Subspace Emissary would be pretty awesome to see on the big screen, but if it means having to make another cinematic universe and then just building and building and expanding and crossing over, then just keep it in Brawl.